Hey Flesh Force, what's good? In the light of the 4,000 Fox layoffs from the Fox-Disney merger, today we're going to be talking about my favorite X-Man. And no, it's not Wolverine, it's Cyclops. My main man, Cyclops, Scott Summers, is one of the most unappreciated, underrated, disrespected characters in all of comics. You'd be hard-pressed to find a character who is as popular, who people like less. It's like, everyone's always talking about Wolverine.
Tell Cyclops I made him a convertible.
Wolverine! It's not your fault either.
What the fuck?
Logan, James Howlett, Weapon X. He's got 3 solo movies, and most of the movies are about him anyway. And look at the comics he has. He's got the shows and the toys. Basically what I'm saying is fuck Wolverine.
When I'm with you, all I can think about is how much I'm in love with Cyclops. Who could ever love a freak like you?
No, don't.
Fuck you, Jackman. Fuck Steve Bloom. And fuck whatever this guy is. Yeah, he's all hairy and has claws and can't die, but you know who's also equally as cool? The leader of the goddamn X-Men. The dude with the cool visor, tactical know-how, and a better sense of geometry than Captain America. My dude has optic beams that can single-handedly destroy Sentinels. He's, a square, but that's not a bad thing. He's the stoic guy who's in charge. His personality just seems to be barking orders on the surface level, but it's more than that. He's not just a dork, even though most of the shows and movies want to portray him that way. Cyclops is the guy who has all the responsibilities of a mutant leader, but without the powers to accompany that. Other prominent mutant leader figures are like Professor X, who's like this amazing telepath. You got Magneto, who can control all metals, and you got Apocalypse, who has all the powers in the world. They're not like Cyclops. Cyclops just shoots beams out of his eyes. It's a cool power, but not one that's like on the level of the others. When the chips are down, these other mutants have abilities that allow them to single-handedly take down armies. They're the most powerful in the group. But Cyclops, that's not him. He's just got the beams. And not only does he have the beams, but he can't even control them because of some sort of mental block. And yet, he still feels like he's responsible for the whole mutant race. He feels responsible for the X-Men. He's a dude who doesn't feel like he can let loose or be funny because he thinks everything rests on his shoulders. He can't be funny like Bobby. He can't be carefree like Nightcrawler. He can't be the Maverick like Wolverine because everybody relies on Cyclops. When Cyclops is gone, things tend to fall apart. He values mutant kind, his team, and his relationships. He doesn't feel like he can let loose. And yet, he's the next step for mutant leaders. He's the weird middle ground between super pacifist Xavier and the super extreme genocidal maniac that's Magneto. He melds their philosophies together eventually and paves the way forward for mutant kind. It's also kind of interesting because for a while there was just like Wolverine and Cyclops arc with their own opposing schools with their own ideologies. Wolverine was like the peaceful school teacher guy and Cyclops was the more radical revolutionary guy, which is really cool. I mean, like, think about character development. That's awesome.
Cyclops!
I know how you feel about it, Wolverine, but...
In the beginning of his career, people might not have liked him, but after a couple of years of being an X-Man, Cyclops doesn't care. All he cares about is a mission. He cares about keeping mutants safe. And that means he can't be the idealistic leader Professor X is. He can't just let people go around killing mutants and hope that people will get better. It means sometimes Cyclops gotta borrow some ideas from the Eric Lencher playbook. Like giving orders to a Black Ops death squad of mutants to keep his school safe. Or like fighting the Avengers to try and ensure his race's survival. Or like creating his own new version of the X-Men and fighting Wolverine because he's so tired of playing by Xavier's rules. He's the morally complex, pragmatic leader of the X-Men, and he's also like what a human being would be like if they were actually put in these positions. He starts off sometimes being just like this milquetoast, I'm the leader type of person, but in more recent years, or decades, he's been developed a lot as a character, and he has a jetpack. When he gets access to the Phoenix Force, he tries to create a utopia for all mutants. And yeah, eventually he fucks up and kills Professor X, but honestly it's still unclear whether or not he was in control at that point. And after he gets in prison, he breaks out and dons a sick-ass costume and becomes a revolutionary. This is when he leads the team with Magneto on it. He assembles a new group of X-Men. And then after this point, his story gets kind of cluttered because there are writers with no real direction. And then there's a younger Cyclops present in the timeline because of time travel. And then the regular Cyclops dies from a disease. It's from the Terrigen Mists that transform Inhumans. And it's also all very complicated. But it doesn't matter because now he's back. He's back from the dead. Also, side note, his beams are concussive blasts, not heat vision. Also, fun fact, his family tree is fucked up beyond imagining. He has a brother that you might know. He was in first class. And he has a dad who's actually a space pirate. And so, yeah, you're like, Flesh Monk, okay, cool. Like, that's normal, right? That's, like, not that weird. I'm not done yet. He has a wife named Jean Grey who dies. And then he dates a girl who looks exactly like her. And then they have a kid. And then Jean turns out that she didn't actually die, and that there was like a copy made of her who died, but she wasn't actually dead. So she comes back, and then he leaves Madeline, who looks like Jean, and then she dies and becomes like a goblin queen because of like demons or something. And then their kid, Cyclops and Madeline's kid, goes to the future with Jean and Cyclops because he has a techno-organic virus infecting him. So they raise him in the future, and then he becomes Cable. And that's only one of their kids, because there's also like Rachel, who's like an alternate universe child, and then there's Nate, who's an alternate universe Cable, and then there's Hope, who's like Cable's daughter, but isn't really biologically related, but looks like Jean anyway. It's all very confusing. There's a lot more, and I'm not going to get into it, but if you want to look up the family tree yourself, you can find it online. It's wild. But yeah, respect Cyclops, man. Put some respect on his name. He's so cool. He's the leader of the X-Men. He's like, pew, pew, beams, optic blast, pew, I'm cool. Tactical planning. I love Cyclops, and it frustrates me when people don't like him, or even give him a chance just because he looks like a dork, which he is, but he's a cool dork, and a very powerful one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subbing. 160. I'm so happy. You know, stay cool and stay fleshy.
Cyclops rules.
Of course.